The 2024 legislative session is over, and it proved to be one of the most historic when it comes to landlord-tenant laws. This actually was probably the most challenging session in the history of this state as it relates to landlord-tenant laws, at least in modern history. And I'm really happy to report that all of our efforts, all of our energy collectively with those of the other landlords, property management companies, and the other members of the Rhode Island Coalition of Housing Providers, for which we are a proud partner, were successful. We defeated or were able to materially impact a number of pieces of proposed legislation that would have radically changed the landscape as it exists today for landlords and tenants alike. And in the end, we were successful with our efforts. And it goes to show you that exercising your constitutional right, putting forth the energy and the effort, getting out there, voicing your opinion and your concerns, and being able to do so in a constructive fashion can make a difference. I won't lie, there was a lot of hours, there was a lot of late nights at the State House, but we feel firmly that it was all worth it in the end. Now, before we sit back and rest on our laurels, understand that the work continues. It has to. And the reason is because there will be more bills. There will be more proposed legislation next year, largely recycling probably a lot of the bills that we saw this year, and new ones will be coming down the pike. And we need to be prepared for that. But in the end, for those that may have lost track of it all, there was more than 39 bills that were proposed that were largely anti-landlord and very pro-tenant. And don't get this twisted or mistake. We absolutely see the resident as the asset, the tenant as the asset. But the reality is we need balanced, fair legislation for both parties to have a very, very healthy ecosystem that is sustainable for the long haul. No one party can be favored more than the other because things will become out of balance and then the ecosystem collapses. And so when legislation is proposed, we always thoroughly review it. We always look at it with a critical eye, and we want to make sure that it is going to benefit both parties or it's as balanced as possible. Some of the bills that were proposed range from tenant unions and formation of non-judicial court with judicial powers. Notice of violations to tenants would have been changes. Tenants' Bill of Rights were proposed. Rent control, and not one, not two, not three, but over 4 bills proposing some various form of rent control, bed bug bills, and the list goes on and on. For a full list, you can go to the Rhode Island Coalition of Housing Providers website, and they have a breakdown of that. And there were some bills that passed, but we have already made adjustments to those. You will see notice of those bills in the newsletter that you are seeing this video in. And we're very happy to say that we are already adapted to these new legislation that's come through. The message to you is we are in this for the long haul. We are always looking at defending the rights of landlords, property owners, property management companies, but also looking to propose and work with legislators on bills and legislation that does take into account the needs of the tenants. Again, we want a fair and balanced approach. So we have approached and reached out to legislators, even those on the other side of this legislation that were pushing forward these bills, looking to sit down with them and finding ways to work together. It really is the only way that we're going to have a successful ecosystem as we move forward, which is really what we want. So again, I'm happy to report that our efforts were successful. We ended the 2024 legislative session with huge wins. But again, the fight continues, the work continues, and we are there standing with you to continue this so that the work goes on. If you have questions about the bills, if you have questions about the legislation, please reach out to us. We're here to help. We're happy to answer any questions you have, and we are your partner moving forward. Thanks so much for watching.